The boy accidentally cut his palm on a jagged blade of grass. He had an idea. He then built the world's first saw in the shape of a leaf. This boy was the originator of the construction industry. Gong Shu Ban. Later people called him Lu Ban. Lu Ban lived during the spring and autumn and warring states periods. He came from a family of craftsmen. When he was young, his skills far surpassed his father's. One day, his father saw that he was so studious, so he told him that there was an old master who lived in the South Mountain of China. If Lu Ban wanted to learn more, he should go and learn from him. Upon hearing this, Lu Ban put on his bag and hugged his father goodbye. He also told his father to take good care of his health. After that, he set off on his journey to learn the art. His efforts were rewarded. After a few months, he finally arrived at Zhongnan Mountain. This is the old master chopping down trees on the hill. He almost fell on the ground when he was pulling out his axe. Luckily, Lu Ban caught him with his body. When the old-timer asked Lu Ban his name, he learned that Lu Ban had come to learn from him. He immediately waved his hand and said he'd stopped accepting disciples a long time ago. So Lu Ban had a bright idea. He picked up an axe and told the old-timer to take a rest and chop down the tree himself. Unexpectedly, the axe got stuck at the first stroke. Old-timer immediately went up to help pull out the axe. As a result, both of them rolled down the hill together. While they were fantasizing about an energy-saving logging tool, old-timer asked him how his face got hurt. Lu Ban used his palm to imprint the wound. Looking at the shape, it didn't look like a branch scratch. At that moment, he found a blade of grass on the ground. He thought it was scratched by a blade of grass. The old-timer picked a leaf and touched it. He said that if the axe was this sharp, it would take less effort to cut down trees. Lu Ban was inspired by these words. He picked up the leaf and pondered over it. In no time, he came up with a new tool to cut down trees. Back at the old-timer's house, he made a cutting tool in the shape of a leaf. Then they went to the woods and tried it out, and they sawed down a big tree with ease. Lu Ban cheered at his success. The old-timer was amazed. He praised the new tool. Then Lu Ban named the tool saw. The old-timer saw that Lu Ban was so talented. It would be a pity if he didn't become a carpenter. So he asked Lu Ban another question. After Lu Ban answered, the old-timer would decide whether to take him as his pupil. He said that once upon a time, there was a master carpenter who had 2 apprentices. The youngest apprentice planted a mountain of gold with his axe. The elder apprentice carved a name in people's hearts. He asked Lu Ban which apprentice he wanted to learn from. Lu Ban replied, I want to learn from the big apprentice. There's no better way to benefit the people than with 10 mountains of gold. The old master was pleased to hear this. He decided to take Lu Ban as his pupil. Thus Lu Ban officially became the old master's disciple. The master took Lu Ban into the house to learn more about the various building models. When Lu Ban saw them, he was so excited that he kept praising his master. Master picked up one of them and asked him to memorize the structure. Then he dropped the model on the floor and asked Lu Ban to crush it with his feet. After a while, the master asked him to put the model back to its original form. Lu Ban's jaw dropped in amazement. After a night's sleep, he finally put the model back together. Lu Ban was so excited that he pulled the master over to check it. The master was amazed at his speed, but he still saw something fishy at first glance. He said a few of the pillars were not symmetrical. The master said that no matter how skilled a carpenter is, he will make a drawing before he starts working. With a drawing, the position of each structure can be understood at a glance. Lu Ban was saddened by this. Master comforted him that failure is nothing to be afraid of. As long as you learn from it, you'll be successful. He told him not to be discouraged and to start from the basics. During the day, Lu Ban collected wood and transported it back for processing. At night, he drew drawings of the structure. Under his master's tutelage, he became the best craftsman of his time. He was dedicated to benefiting the people. He invented many useful wooden products for the people. He was called the father of carpentry.